start with some team news. Francis Coquelin back in training.
Yes, he's back since yesterday, and he looks. I have to see how he responds to the 2 days training, but he looks all right.
No Mathieu Flamini, no Mikel Arteta. Are they going to be okay?
No, both have muscular slight problems, but I think Flamini has a scan today, and Arteta certainly as well.
And you have Gabriel back from suspension, but you lose Giroud.
Exactly.
A big win against a good side on Saturday. Why did it all come together at Leicester?
Well, it looked for a while that we created the chances and we didn't finish them. But I said many times that the finishing is a bit cyclic, you know, and overall at some stage what was the most important was to create the chances. Finishing always goes up and down.
Olympiacos maybe won't be quite as adventurous as Leicester. It's a different kind of challenge on Tuesday.
Look, Olympiacos dominates their league. Is a team who has a big advantage. They dominate easily their league at the moment, so they can prepare for this kind of games, and they know how to compete in the Champions League. They are well organized, and they have some players who know the Premier League as well, like Cambiaso played, Idei, Kasami played as well in England, so they know what the Premier League is about.
Just a question for Alex, does it feel like the confidence is really coming back now?
Obviously the result on the weekend could definitely do no harm to that. I think the confidence has always been there in the team. Sometimes you can't quite put your finger on why things don't go well, but we know we have to stick together in those periods, and results like the weekend always help, and we need to take that momentum into tomorrow night now.
Arsene, I know you said that Flamini had a scan and Arteta too, but do you have any indication even prior to that if they're serious injuries?
No, they are not big injuries. It's a question of days.
In terms of your team selection, how much does the weekend's game affect who you'll pick and how you'll approach this one?
The weekend game will not interfere with that at all. It's more the games he played before who could have an influence. You know, some players played tough games. The 2 games at Tottenham and at Leicester were of a high level physically. So I will have to analyse that today and make my decisions.
With hindsight, did you learn any kind of lesson in the selection you made on match day 1? And will you maybe avoid that kind of thing this time?
I don't believe it's down to selection at all. I believe that the 20 players, field players I have available can play in every single game. I close my eyes, just take a position, and I'm confident we have a very strong team. And on the day, you know, basically the same team played at Tottenham and won in the League Cup in a much more difficult game physically. So I believe just it's on the night we didn't play well.
Is it an overestimation to say that it's a must-win game already on match day 2?
Yes, well, you sum it up well.
Why do you believe that?
Because you have to win your home games if you want to qualify in the group stage, and it's as simple as that. And we have an opponent. We cannot afford to drop points now against anybody at home.
Thierry Henry wrote this week that possibly the English clubs have lost a bit of their fear factor when it comes to playing teams from elsewhere in Europe. Do you think anything in that dynamic has changed in terms of how our teams are viewed?
I don't know if other teams look at us with more or less fear. I believe that the Premier League is very, very tough, and that sometimes it has that an influence or not, I don't know. But it's for sure now. It's a bit early to come to any conclusion. We have to wait a little bit longer. But a second year without us being successful, you could come to a conclusion, yes, there's something we have to analyse deeply, but I don't believe so.
Thank you. Arsene, where do you think, on that kind of theme, where do you think the top English clubs stand alongside the likes at the moment of Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich? Are we on that level or just below?
We cannot say we are at that level now, because in the last 2 years Barcelona won the Champions League, and the year before it was Real Madrid who won the Champions League, so you have to say they were the better teams. But are we far? I don't think so, but we have to show that with our results.
Does it make it tougher playing in the Premier League? Because it does appear to be throughout the league more competitive.
Yes, that's the problem. When you look at when you go to Leicester, who sits on the bench at Leicester, you know that that has changed in England, and it makes every game very difficult and demands as well a lot of mental concentration to get it right. But we want to do well in the Champions League, and when you're a big club, you have to face that and deal with it.
Do you think it will make it tougher to win the Premier League this season, given what you just said?
Tougher, I don't know, because the positive side of that is that everybody can drop points against teams, and you're never out of a race. And so it will be down to consistency.
And just finally, will you have half an eye on Manchester United in your team selection?
No, not at all. No, the team selection will not be influenced. We play on Tuesday night. We play after against Man United on Sunday. 5 days is no problem. It's more what happened before.
Alex, how important was Saturday for the whole team, the whole squad? Really getting that performance, getting some goals, and kind of really everything coming together for confidence.
Yeah, obviously it's very important. You know, I think in a lot of the performances so far this season, we've shown that we can create a lot, and maybe we haven't scored enough goals. So obviously it's always crucial to start putting them away, and you know there's crucial players on our team. You know, Theo and Alexis. Obviously Alexis got off the mark, and that was really good for him and for the team as well, and Theo as well playing up front. I thought he played fantastically well, and he scored a good goal as well. So you know it's good for their confidence, and as a whole that will help our team. I think that the whole team played well as well, right from the back up to the front. And it does stand you in good stead. You know, obviously results like that, scoring that many goals, it can only help the team, and you know we need to build on that now, and obviously we look to do that tomorrow night.
Do you have the attacking options throughout the squad that can really worry teams in Europe? You've got so much pace within the group as well.
I think so, yeah. You know, we've got a lot of quality up front. Obviously, the likes of Danny Welbeck as well, and Jack Wilshere, Thomas Rosicky are still to come back. So, you know, that shows that you know the team and the squad is very strong, and you expect that at a club like Arsenal. And you know, we need to put that into good use. You know, not just the boys that play, but you know the people that are on the bench at times. They need to come on and play well, and when they get opportunities to play, it's important that they play their roles as well.
How much more is there to come from Alexis Sanchez? I mean, he had a brilliant first season, one small dip, but you know, a great first season in the Premier League. How much more do you think he can add to the team this year?
I don't know. I'm not a specialist in that area. He's obviously an amazing player, and he had an amazing season last year. And he, you know, the one thing I would say about Alexis is he's one of the most passionate and hungry individuals I know, and as a player, you know, he brings out in training every day, and in the matches. And if he knows when he's not at his best, which you know for me is rare, but he'll always push himself to do as well as he can, and he demands a lot of himself. And as long as he continues like that, I'm sure his quality will come out as it did on the weekend.
Do you look at Alexis, I mean, in a way, the position he plays and the qualities that you have, and think that there's things you particularly can learn from him that you want to try and emulate?
Of course, you know, when someone scores as many goals as he did last year, for someone like me to look at that, it's hard not to look at him and learn from him in his everyday, you know, mannerisms around the training ground, how he trains, and obviously in his performances, how he scores goals and how he, you know, plays, and also how he defends from up front. You know, these are all things that we can all learn. You know, everyone that watched football could learn from someone like Alexis Sanchez, and you know, I definitely put myself in that bracket as someone that learns off him every day.
Can I just ask what you mean by his mannerisms around the training ground? What sort of stuff do you notice that he does that you think that's a good idea?
He's someone that just loves football, generally just loves playing football, and being involved in and around football, and that comes out in training. You know, he's very passionate, he's very upbeat, he's a massive character in the team, and for someone that doesn't have amazing English, he manages to communicate so well to all of us, and you know, keep the dressing room upbeat. And you know, that's what I mean by, you know, his mannerisms, and you know how positive he is around the team.
And just one on yourself, Arsene said last week ahead of the North London derby that you maybe need to have more self-belief in yourself. Is that something you've identified as well?
That's what my dad says as well. So you know, there might be a little bit of a trend here. I don't know. I'm quite critical on myself, and you know I try and demand quite high standards of myself, and you know sometimes maybe that can work in a negative fashion. So you know that's something that I need to work on. But self-belief's obviously a massive part of the game. Obviously, I might need to start showing that I believe in myself a little bit more around him.
Did you look at those comments and sort of thing that they ring true?
I did see them, yeah, and I chuckled because my dad says that to me a lot. But I think it's a valid point, and you know we've just been talking about Alexis there. There's someone that has massive self-belief in himself, and he shows that every week, and quite often that results in positive performances with good end product and good results. So yeah, it's definitely something for me to take on board and look to improve on.
James, can I just ask you about another player, Francis Coquelin, who's had an incredible sort of 10, 12 months or so from being out on loans and now being such an integral part of the team. Just talk about the impact that he's had.
You know, Francis he's always been an amazing player, and you know when you're at a club like Arsenal, sometimes it can be hard to find opportunities. But he's someone with again a great attitude. That's when he's gone out on loan, sometimes that can be hard for players to do. But he's gone out on loan and he's proved himself, and he's played well, and then he's come back and he took his opportunity. And you know, for me now, he's someone that I love having in the team. When I think about Arsenal, I think he's a massive vocal part of our team, and he proves that week after week, and in training, everything that he does is different to what a lot of the other boys in our team can do, and I think that's crucial to the team. He brings something different, and as long as he keeps doing that, I'm sure he's going to keep progressing as a player and helping this team.
And Arsene, you mentioned the importance of the home form in the Champions League. You've won only 6 of the last 12 Champions League home games. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is, and what do you think you need to improve on?
We played many times big opponents, and I believe as well we didn't lose many games at home, but we did not always win, that's true. But we are now in a position where you cannot wonder too much about the statistics. We are in a position where we have to win our games, and I'm confident we will.
How different is the approach at home to
Not much different. What changes more is the attitude of our opponent. When you play away from home, both teams, we always try to play and to go forward, but at home we face maybe a different kind of problem. Teams are regrouped in front of their box, and where you need to be penetrative with your passing, with your movement, and clinical with your finishing.
Okay, last couple now, Jim. Alex, do the players feel different going into a Champions League game rather than the Premier League game? Because obviously in the Premier League you know exactly what you're going to expect, but maybe sometimes in the Champions League it's slightly different.
I'm not sure. Every time, for me personally, going into a game playing for Arsenal, you expect to win or you want to win, and that doesn't change from the Champions League or the league or the cup. So in that respect, it is no difference. We analyse all the teams that we play against, so we have a pretty good idea of what we're up against, and then at Arsenal we try and focus on our game a lot and try and make sure that we bring out all the traits that we want to bring out, and as long as we do that, we hope that we can go and win the game. So I don't think that we feel or approach it any different or feel any different going into the games. Obviously, the further you progress in a competition like the Champions League, the pressure might increase, and you feel different in that respect. But no, I don't think we feel different. No.
You have to be a bit more maybe careful about some of the challenges you're going to make. I mean, obviously Olympiacos was somewhat unfortunate. If those challenges have been done in the Premier League, maybe they wouldn't have been trying this in the Champions League. There's not that much of a margin in it.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's different from the Premier League, and something you do have to consider. And obviously, the game away at Dynamo Zagreb did prove that. But that's something that everyone has to adapt to. Foreign teams that play against us, we might play a little bit more physical, and that's something they have to get used to. Or when we have a referee from a different country, it's something that we have to get used to. So I think it evens itself out at the end of the day. But yeah, that's of course something that is different to week in, week out in the Premier League.
And finally, Paul.
Alex, how fond a memory is your Champions League debut against Olympiacos?
Oh, it's a long time ago. I can only remember the goal and feeling quite tired in the first half, and I think that's the only thing I can look back on. I think that was the first time I really got a shock of how much of a step up I'd made at that time, and to score a goal after 8 minutes, I think it was a little bit generous so early on, and I found it quite hard for the rest of that half. So yeah, it's obviously a really nice memory to look back on, and you know, it seems like a lot's happened in between that, but at the same time, in my opinion, you know, I want more to have happened in that time. So it gives me, you know, motivation and hunger to go on and do more, and still being involved in the competition year after year for us and for me is obviously a great thing, and that's an opportunity to go and